Hey guys, my name is Colin and this is Colin Talks Crypto. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about why the Ethereum price is crashing and why I sold 100% of my ETH not long ago. And lastly, we're going to take a look at the drastically reduced inflationary supply for Ethereum 2.0, the effects that might have, and why I am personally bullish on Ethereum 2.0 in the long run, in the years to come. Thank you for joining me. So Ethereum has been a very hot topic lately with the advent of the merge to Ethereum 2.0, a full move to proof of stake. And it might be a shock to some people for me to have tweeted recently that I currently hold no Ethereum. I do not hold any ETH. And I am a long-term proponent of Ethereum. So you might be wondering, why did I just sell all of my ETH not long ago? And in this video, I'm going to break this down for you. I have a whole bunch of tweets lined up, some charts, and I'm going to break down for you what I see and how I see it unfolding for Ethereum. As I say here, I do intend to eventually return to a portfolio where I have a predominance of ETH holdings. So it's not that I'm bearish on ETH, but there is a big difference in the short term, medium term, and long term. And as many of you know, I'm sort of a long-term swing trader. That's really where I feel that I do the best. I do not do a great job of day trading, and I'm not a day trader, and I don't advocate for that. If you're looking for someone to teach you about day trading, you should definitely keep looking somewhere else. So as I say here, I am bullish on ETH in the long run after 2024, and I'll get more into why that is at the end of this video. So first of all, let's take a look here. This is the Bitcoin and Ethereum price right now. And I just want to take a look at these two rows right here. So you can see that in the last 7 days, Bitcoin has dropped 4.9%. Ethereum in that same period of time has dropped 19%, 5 times as much as Bitcoin has dropped. Now, that's pretty crazy. We just had this merge. Shouldn't things be bullish? Shouldn't everything be roses? And shouldn't Ethereum be better than it was before? Ethereum certainly didn't decrease its performance and features. So why the price drop? It doesn't really make sense, does it? Well, I think it does. And I think it really goes back to the old saying of buy the rumor, sell the news. I really think that that's the entire summary of what we are seeing right now. And I think it's funny. And Mike Alfred here, maybe he was joking when he tweeted this, but he said, every single person I've spoken with in the last 24 hours is trying to dump their ETH position at any price. Nobody wants to participate in a system controlled by wealthy devs who can change the rules at the drop of a hat. The selling is relentless, bloodbath. And here's another one. We all just need to admit the vibe is not right with Ethereum. That's like akin to saying Bitcoin is dead. You know, it's very bearish. It's a very bearish sentiment out there. It's funny how the sentiment for a cryptocurrency can drop on a dime. Like if there's 3 days of massive bullish sentiment, the entire space loves it. Or if there's 2 days where it gets really, really bearish, everyone thinks all hell has broken loose and it's doom and gloom. Now here's my response to these two tweets. People are dumping because Ethereum was overpriced by merge hype. And I'm going to show you some charts to back up this statement. It needs to reach a fair market price. That's all. And here's another explanation I give. It was simply overpriced due to merge hype and is now correcting. Ethereum always underperforms Bitcoin during bear markets. This is expected behavior unless you thought the merge hype would last forever. And apparently some people did think that the merge hype is going to last forever. So let's hop on over to the Ethereum price charts. So here's a daily price chart for ETH USD. And I'm going to zoom in here a bit to where we are today. And you can see that, so we had that massive capitulation back in June where ETH bottomed out around $880, and we have not surpassed that low ever since. And right here, right around July 13th, is where the Ethereum proof of stake merge really gained momentum in terms of hype, in terms of sentiment in the community. I started seeing everyone talking about it. It became very exciting because it was just around the corner. This was about 2 months before the actual merge was to take place. It happened in mid-September. And what do we see? We saw the price in US dollars skyrocket. It hit all the way up to $2,000 or $2,030. forming almost like a head and shoulders kind of a pattern here. So it almost is not surprising that when we broke below this particular sort of a neckline in this unusual head and shoulders pattern right here, you can see that there was definitely a support zone right there that we have just broken through. So true to the saying, buy the rumor, sell the news. Prior to the merge right here, the price was the highest. And after the merge, then a massive dump, which we are still in the middle of. So buy the rumor over here, 2 months prior, sell the news here after the event. And that has proven very true. Now let's flip over to the ETH BTC pair. So let's zoom way out. This is a couple years worth of chart. You can see where it really massively took off. This was back in May of 2021. And so during the bull run and after it, the peak was 0.088 approximately for the ETH BTC trading pair right here. And it started to drop. There was sort of a head and shoulders pattern again, sort of a tower. So it would be clear to see, or not surprising to expect the price to drop suddenly once we breach this particular support range right here of about 0.056. And all the way down to here, there's not really any support whatsoever. I mean, honestly, you could argue there's not really any massive amount of support all the way down to about 0.038. And so it was not surprising that after we reached this all-time high of 0.088 in the bull run, for the price to correct back down to a reasonable level down here, back where the support was. There was a gap here in the price, which means that it would be easy to push back down below this range. And so I was expecting that to happen a little more quickly than it has been. What happened though is the merge hype, as we just saw in that last chart, took place starting around the 13th or so, 15th or so of July. And right here you can see it started, skyrocketed up, and we hit a peak of 0.085 approximately, just below that last all-time high of 0.088. And so let's zoom in. And then the merge happened in early September. We got a little fake out here, and then the price just started to dump. And currently we're at 0.068. And I don't expect that to stop, at least until we hit back down here to 0.058. But ultimately, after probably some bouncing, we'll see it break through this support range and drop back down to 0.04, 0.03. Maybe at the end of all of the damage we see, we'll hit 0.025, 0.02. I wouldn't bet my money on that, but I feel pretty confident about 0.04 to 0.035, somewhere in that range right there. And I did sell the last remaining bits of my Ethereum right here at 0.082. I actually used sort of a trailing stop loss, followed it up, and allowed it to sell. And I'm really glad I did, because that was a fantastic point. You know, as good as you could get next to the actual peak up here at 0.088. And you're never going to perfectly time it. So I'm very happy with that trade. And now I am simply waiting and sitting on my hands and biding my time, because I do feel the directional trend of Ethereum as priced in Bitcoin and as priced in dollars is down. And I think it may take a month or two or three or even longer to unfold. But I do think that the general trend is down, and we will see a price somewhere down here, 0.035, 0.04, maybe lower. I'll probably start buying sooner than that, because I'm not trying to be out of the game. I'm trying to just accumulate more crypto. And if I was to pull up the ETH USD chart, let's take a look and see where do I think it might go. So again, we saw this rebound. This is all merge hype rebound right here. This is where it outpaced Bitcoin. This is where Ethereum became alpha to Bitcoin, which is extremely unusual. ETH was effectively pulling up the price of Bitcoin. You could tell because Ethereum was outpacing Bitcoin. And ever since the merge happened, that narrative has shifted back to its normal state, whereby the price of Ethereum is beta to Bitcoin. And so that's where we're at now. So where do I think the price will go? I think that we could honestly see, I mean, there's not much resistance here, all the way down to, I could see the 400 range, honestly, in the 400s quite easily. Let's zoom out a little more here. Yeah, like I think right about here in the 490 to 530, that's a pretty strong buy zone in my opinion. I'm not saying it can't go lower. It very well could go into 300s. It may dip to the 200s briefly, but I'm not going to bank on that because I'm not trying to be out of the crypto game. So I will probably time my re-entries in the low $500 range on up. I'm probably not going to wait below the $500 range. If I do wait longer and it goes into the 200s, for example, that's when I will strongly consider buying with leverage, which I don't normally do, but I would actually probably consider buying with leverage in the 200s because it's just so underpriced. Especially given the fact that I believe that Ethereum will hit $10,000. So to buy it anywhere from 500 to 200 is going to be a no-brainer when that happens in the future, or if that happens in the future. So the fact of the merge having happened, that hype element being removed from the equation, and the temporary alpha nature of Ethereum over Bitcoin now being reverted back to its normal beta position in regards to Bitcoin, especially in a bear market. I'm talking about a bear market here. When Bitcoin drops 5% in a bear market, Ethereum will drop 8%. That's the typical beta behavior of Ethereum compared with Bitcoin. And so now that the merge is over, now that that sort of arbitrary hype, that buy the rumor, sell the news, news is over, this makes me wonder if Ethereum does have some bleeding to do. I really strongly think that Ethereum has some bleeding to do. Typically, bear markets, ETH loses value to Bitcoin, and we may have 1 to 2 years of sideways action. That's a long time to bleed, especially in our macroeconomic environment that we see ourselves, which looks really, really bad. And I will cover that in its own separate video because I don't want to make this video too long. But I'm already bearish on the entire macro economy. That includes Bitcoin and Ethereum and all cryptocurrency as a highly volatile correlated asset to the stock market. So that aside, even without that, I'm already bearish on ETH versus BTC because it typically does bleed during the bear markets, and bear markets do generally last 1 to 2 years for Bitcoin. So that's a long time for the ETH BTC ratio to drop. I'm in no hurry to buy Ethereum back, but I do want to hold it in a couple of years from now. And I'll probably end up buying some by the end of this year or early next year. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That being said, I'm still bullish on ETH for the next bull run, and I think that it will outperform Bitcoin once again, because during a bull run, Ethereum outpaces. When Bitcoin gains 5%, Ethereum eventually will gain 8% or 10%, and that happens on the way up. So you have to know what part of the cycle you're in. And here's an explanation that I gathered from Matthew Hyland here, and I sort of summarized it. I really like this. Bitcoin is a higher beta NASDAQ. Ethereum is a higher beta Bitcoin. Altcoins are a higher beta to all the above. So if the NASDAQ moves down 2%, Bitcoin might move down 5%. Ethereum might move down 10%, and random altcoins may move down 15%. That's the volatile nature. That's why you want to be holding fiat or Bitcoin during a bear market, and you want to be buying altcoins during a bull market. And lastly, I want to leave you with some interesting things on why I'm so bullish. This is the supply of Ethereum post-merge and pre-merge. This is ultrasound.money if you want to visit the site here. And they have this really great little chart. I'm going to try to zoom in on this to see if I can make this a little bigger for you. Let's see how big we can make this. Okay, here we go. Supply since merge. And so you can see that the merge occurred right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this simulate proof of work button, and you can see that the current proof of stake inflation rate of 0.19%, that's after the merge, that's as it stands currently, compares with, it would have been 3.78% inflation per year. And Bitcoin is currently at 1.72% inflation per year. So just to give you an idea of what this means, since September 15th, when the merge occurred, Ethereum has inflated by only 4,800 Ethereum. If it had not switched to proof of stake, with all of its sort of deflationary changes, we would have had an increase of 95,000 ETH since the merge. 95,000 ETH versus 4,800 ETH. It's an enormous, enormous decrease from the merge. And compare that with Bitcoin, which has a 1.72% per year inflation rate, which is not high. It's still fine, especially compared with every legacy asset that we have, including the dollar. But you can see how Ethereum went from being drastically more inflationary than Bitcoin to insanely less inflationary to Bitcoin. 0.19% versus 1.72%. And the thing is that right now, the Ethereum network isn't really being that heavily utilized. That's good for low fees. That's bad for the burn, because the more that it gets utilized and the higher the fees go, the more it gets burned. So it is not unthinkable for this inflation to actually turn deflationary. In the very few days after the merge, it actually was deflationary. We were actually burning more ETH than was being issued on the network. And I do see that happening again, especially during bull markets when things start getting frantic. It's going to suck for fees, and that's what future sharding is going to be for. But it is going to be great for creating a deflationary supply. We will actually see a reduction of Ethereum on the network, and that will be very bullish for the price. Now, a lot of people have asked me, why do I sell my ETH when we have this massive deflationary pressure and this triple halvening, as people call it? And I explain it like this. The economic effects of Ethereum's triple halvening will likely be delayed, just like Bitcoin's halving effects are delayed. I believe deflation will be insanely bullish for Ethereum, but not necessarily immediately having the price skyrocket right after the merge. My guess is the price will react many months later. I think that it could be in 2023 or 2024 before we begin to see the beginning price effects positively for the decreased inflation that Ethereum now sees. So if you put it in that light, I think it does make more sense. You know, every time there's a Bitcoin halving every 4 years, what does the price do? It doesn't just shoot up. In fact, often it will go down temporarily. Usually within 3 to 6 months after the Bitcoin halving, you then begin to see the start of the next bull run where it begins to go parabolic. And I strongly believe, like, why would you have a 4-year cycle like that, so perfectly timed? What's the other 4-year element in Bitcoin? It's the halving event. So that 3 to 6 month delay after the halving event, where you start to see the price skyrocket parabolically, is a direct consequence of the supply shock of that halving reduction on Bitcoin, 3 to 6 months approximately. So that is exactly my same logic for Ethereum. Sure, we just merged. Yes, it's less inflationary. It's not quite deflationary, but it may be deflationary in the future. Even so, it's massively less inflationary than Bitcoin. But do I think that that's going to manifest itself into the Ethereum price immediately? No, not at all. In fact, as we saw in the price chart, the hype was priced in. So now the price has to correct back to a fair market value. And the halvening that's sort of happening, the supply inflation reduction, it just isn't enough to overcome the fact that ETH's price was so pumped on the hype. So the merge hype has to effectively get removed from the price, which the market is in the process of doing right now by reducing the Ethereum price. And eventually the inflation reduction will then begin to be felt. I think it could easily be 3 months minimum, maybe 6 months, maybe 1 to 2 years, because we are in a bear market. The macroeconomic scene looks so horrible, so bloody, so bad. I will cover that in another video. I just think that this could be a real bad one. And so I'm not jumping the gun on buying ETH. Yeah, it's down $300 or $600 from where it was a few weeks ago. That doesn't mean I'm going to go jumping in and buying. I did learn my lesson on catching a falling knife from some previous bad experiences. And so I'm going to wait, and I'm going to wait for this price to drop down to the support ranges that I showed you, at least in the 500s, if not lower. Then I might even consider going in with leverage. But I'm extremely bullish of this inflation reduction for Ethereum, and I think that it's going to be massive in the upcoming bull run for Ethereum. And so I do very much want to return to a position where I have at least 66% of my portfolio in Ethereum as a very strong asset for the next bull run. It will likely see greater upside to Bitcoin, and it will see a greater upside, not just because it's a beta asset to Bitcoin, which means it's more volatile, but because it has a decreased inflation for Bitcoin. And in 3 or 4 years from now, I think that's really going to start being felt. And that's why I do feel that we are going to see a price upwards of $10,000 for Ethereum in the coming bull run. So I don't want to miss out on that for the number 2 cryptocurrency. I think that we might even see a flippening in market caps, maybe temporarily, where Ethereum in that next bull run actually outpaces Bitcoin, becomes a larger market cap than Bitcoin's. That dominance actually goes below 50%, and Ethereum surpasses Bitcoin in terms of market cap. I think that that would shake a lot of the fixed beliefs that some of the Bitcoin maxis have, that Ethereum market cap could never ever surpass Bitcoin's. And I think that that would further hype and pump the price, just leading to a massive blow off top for Ethereum in the years to come. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please drop me a comment below. Let me know if you agree or you disagree and why. And I hope you join me again soon. I will be dropping future videos on the subject of the economy and maybe even altcoin or two that I have my eyes on in the future. Take care.